Hello everybody, it's Root Beer here with another Hypatia contest. That's the Grade 11 Written Solution Contest put out by the University of Waterloo. And we're going to be looking at the 2007 Hypatia now. Okay, so as always, I try and encourage you guys, click the first link in the description. You will get a copy of this contest, and you should print it out or otherwise try it on your own, and then come back and watch. It's the best way to practice, it's the best way to get better. Okay? So, we're still at the phase where they haven't put a proper cover page on these Hypatias, so if you want to try it under actual contest conditions, calculators are allowed, and it's 75 minutes you have to do it, and solutions need to be fully written up. Okay? So, let's take a look at question number 1. The diagram shows 4 cities, A, B, C, and D, with the distances between them in kilometers. Okay. So 105. None of the numbers here are particularly popping out at me. I wonder why we have squiggly lines instead of just straight lines, but I guess that gives the diagram a little more character. Anyway, so we got 4 parts here. So, Penny must travel from A through each of the other cities exactly once, and then back to A. An example of her route might be A to B, B to D, D to C, and C to A. List all routes that Penny could travel. Okay. So, I noticed that each city happens to be connected to every other city. So if, for example, say a C to D road was missing, you wouldn't ever be able to have C followed by D or D followed by C in your list here. And that's something we should note. Every city is connected to every other city, so we can always get from one city to any other city that we choose by one road. So each city is, you could say directly connected, or you might say something like adjacent by road to every other city, not to another city. So, adjacent by road to every other city. So we have no restrictions on the order Penny can travel. Whereas, as I was saying before, if, for example, BC didn't exist, you'd have to go ACDB or ABDC, but you could never go ACBD. See, because there wouldn't be a C to B road. Okay, so Penny must travel from A through all the other cities exactly once, and then back to A. So her journey looks a little something like this. So she goes A, and then some city, then some city, then some city, and back to A. And we have to fit B, C, and D in here once. So we have 3 choices for our first city. You can either have B, C, or D. Now, when we get to the second city that we're going to travel to, we only have 2 choices left. You know, we chose B. Well, we've only got C or D. We can't go back to B or back to A. So, whatever we chose for the first city that we went to out of these 3, we can't go to that city again. So that leaves us with 2 cities left over. And once these are chosen, the last city is fixed. You know, if you went to C and then to D, you've got to go to B last. So 1 choice for the last city. Okay. Now, if you haven't seen this before, when you can isolate your choices like this, the number of possibilities, so the number of routes or routes, depending on where you live in North America, that's how you pronounce it, number of routes is 3 times 2 times 1. It's the number of arrangements of B, C, D, and we have no restrictions, so we don't have to worry about anything. and that's 6. Now, did they just want the number, or did they actually want us to list them out? Oh, list all routes. Okay, not that bad. So we could go B, C, D, A. I'm finding drawing the arrows is annoying, so I might drop that. Did they even ask for the number? No, they just asked me to list, so I didn't actually have to calculate this number. Although, in terms of explaining things, got my explanation there, and I know why there's 6 and there won't be more than 6. And this is different than saying, oh, it's a part, I'll just list all 6 and we're done. Yeah, that probably would have gotten you full marks, but if this had been question 3 and you were asked to list, you would probably need to justify why there's nothing else on your list. Okay, so this calculation of 6 is not entirely meaningless. Anyways, let's continue. We won't stop until we've got 6 routes here. So we'll get. I guess I need another one over here. So we did C, so we'll do B, then C we'll do D, and the last one is fixed. D, we'll go to B first. So I'm trying to keep it mostly in alphabetical order when I can, and so that'll be C to B to A. Okay. One thing that you should note, occasionally they do ask you to do things like listing out arrangements and so forth. Another great example of this is they'll have you do questions where you have to make a certain amount of change using only quarters and dimes and that sort of stuff. And listing out possibilities, it is very helpful to practice this and get accustomed to listing out in a very methodical, orderly fashion. I did all my B's first, then I did all the C's first, then I did all the ones with D first, that sort of thing. Okay, so there's all 6, and I know there's only going to be 6. So we're done A part here. Okay, B, identify one route of the shortest possible length and one of the longest possible length. Explain how you obtained your answer. Okay, so we know the 6 possible routes we could have. At worst, we could just calculate them out. But is there anything special with these numbers here? Any special way to see what should have to be the shortest route and what should have to be the longest route? Because if there's a fancy way to do it, maybe we'll be talking about her having to go to cities A to Z for D part or something like that, and maybe there'll be some particular. I'm not seeing anything with these numbers, and it is question 1, so I'm not really going to stress too much about it. I have in my back pocket I'll just calculate them all out method. Can't see anything particularly special with the numbers, so I'm just going to list them all out. Okay. It's only 6. Yeah, if they introduce some more cities and I have to do 24 of these or 120 of these, then yeah, I'm gonna have to look for something else. But we can just list out all the possibilities. We'll just calculate all route lengths. So I'm going to drop the arrows. A to B to C to D to A. A to B to D to C to A. A, C, B, D, A. A, C, D, B, A. A, D, B, C, A. And A, D, C, B, A. Okay. Now they said one possible, so I'm betting that one of them, or that there's more than one that has the longest possible. And actually, I think we can see that right away. Look at this one. We have A to B is going to need to be in this length, but A to B is going to need to be here in that calculation. And B to C is in our first calculation. Well, B to C is also here. It's traveled in reverse. C to D. C to D. D to A, D to A. So the top and the bottom here, I mean, it's just the same sequence, just in reverse. So it's going to get us the same length. Notice that in our map, we have there's no choices that we need to make. There's not 2 different routes to D, and we have to choose the shortest or anything like that. or that we can only travel one way on something. So, A to B is 80. Plus B to C is 120. Plus C to D is 90 and 40. Plus 120. Plus 90. Plus 40. And this one is the same thing but in reverse. Okay, as I recall, so we'll have the same A to B here. A to C, I believe, is 105. So we'll get a 105 there. We'll get a 105 down here. And a 105 over here. C to B to C is 120, so that'll appear here as well. And down here. C to D is this cuddly little fellow right here, so we'll get a 90 there. And a 90 there. B to A is 80, which is here. And D to A is, I think it was 40. Yeah, D to A is 40. Alright, so we're slowly getting this thing filled in. B to D is... Was that the 60? Is that the one that was 60? Yeah, B to D is 60. 60. 60. And 60. There we go. So we've got all our calculations. We just need to actually do them. 80, 120 is 200, plus 90 is 290, plus 40 is 330. So that'll be 330 down here. Uh, 80 and 60 is 140. Plus the 90 is 230, plus this is 335. Right, I stumbled a bit there, so I just want to make sure. 140, 230, 335. Yeah, okay. And then there's another one that has exactly that same calculation, 335 here. And this one will probably be the longest one, just because it's got two of the 100s. So 100 plus 120 is 220, plus another 100 is 320, 325. Okay, so actually the number's not really off by that much. Quite interesting, actually. But we just need, so our shortest route is one of these. And our longest route is one of these two. So they asked us to list one of them, so I'd say A, D, or A, B, D, C, A is longest, and then A, C, B, D, A is shortest. Okay. I really would have thought there'd be more variation in the numbers. It looks like they very carefully chose these. So there's only 5 apart. Good stuff. Anyway, if you didn't want to do that in your head like I did, of course, grab your calculator and you'll be fine. So that does B part. We explained how we showed our answer in that we didn't just list our answers. We actually calculated everything out. So notice we didn't use any sentences, but we still have explained what we did. C part. Just before leaving A, Penny learns that, well, I was right in my earlier prediction. There are going to be more cities here, an E, an F, that sort of stuff. So for C part, she must visit a 5th city, E. E is connected to each of the A, B, C, D, and E must be the 3rd city she visits. Maybe she's going to a trade show. Therefore, the trip would be A blank blank E blank A. How many different routes are now possible? Is it not the same reasoning I had before in A? There's just an E sitting in here. But I can have anything before the E and anything after, because E connects directly to each of them. So I think exactly the same reasoning will do. So no restrictions, i.e. lack of direct connections. Exist. So we can just count, and you can say the arrangements or permutations. So once again, we're looking at A, blank, blank. Now we got this E here, but he's already prescribed. If E had to be something like the second or third spot, we'd have to do some casework and add some things up. But E is fixed, so it doesn't really matter. It's basically just one of our previous roots. We just stuff an E in there. Okay? So we've done this song and dance. 3 choices for this one, 2 choices. On the actual contest, I would write it up basically how I wrote it up with E, but I'm not going to waste your time or mine right now. 3 times 2 times 1 equals 6. They did ask for the number this time and not the list, right? How many different roots are possible? And I explained how I got my answer, clearly labeled. Picture with the 3 choices, 2 choices, 1 choices. We're all set. So 6 roots are possible. If you wanted to, you could also list them out, but I mean these arrows are getting kind of tedious to draw. So we'll move on to D part. The trip A, D, C, E, B, A. So if you just went from C to D and didn't do C, you just read D, you would know at least the answer for C is more than 2. Anyways, the trip A, D, C, E, B, A is 600 kilometers long. The trip A, C, D, E, B, A is 700 kilometers long. What is the distance from D to E is 225 kilometers long. What is the distance from C to E? Oh, okay. So I don't know most of these lengths. I know D to E, but I don't know, for example, E to A. I don't know E to B, and I don't know C to E. And the one I want is C to E. Okay. Now, this calculation, I mean, it's basically the same thing that we had before. So we're going to AD, CEBA. And we'll write it out a little slower. It's A to D, which I do know, plus D to C, plus C to E. I guess you could have done this for B part, but why waste your time with extra work? Plus B to A. I know most of these. I don't know CE, and I don't know EB. I want CE. I might even give him a name like X, so that I know that's what I want. But I won't do that right now. And the other one is A, C, D, E, B. A, is that it? A, C, D, E, B, A, yeah. Okay, and that's A to C, plus C to D, plus D to E. That's one I've just been told. Plus E to B, I don't know that one. And then B to A. So this is AD, which is 40. DC, which was, I think that one was 90. Yep. CE, I'm going to call that X. EB, I'm going to call that Y. And then BA, which I believe was 80. Yeah. Alright, so AC was that the one? No, that was 105. I'll check this out in a moment, but 105, 90, I know this one is 225. They just told me that. I've got this pesky Y in here again. And then BA is again 80. Okay, we'll double check here. C to A was 105. Okay. So I've got 2 equations. I can add these up. This one was 600. This one's 700. Right? I know I'm bouncing back and forth between it a lot, but yeah, 600, 700. So if these y's weren't here, I'd very quickly be able to solve this. In fact, we'd be able to solve the very first equation for x. But we've got two unknowns and two equations. One thing I can do is I can subtract these. So 600 minus 700 is negative 100. 80 minus 80, nothing. Y minus y, and that's why I did this, to cancel out the y's. 0, 0. 90 and 90. 40 minus 105 is negative 65. Alright. And then we've got plus x minus 225. Alright, well, the negative 65 and negative 225, we can add the 5, so it'll be 230 plus 60, so x minus 290 is equal to negative 100. Bring it over to the other side, and x is 190 kilometers. So the distance from C to E is 190 kilometers, and we could, put a nice little bow on that by putting a therefore statement. Therefore the distance, like a full sentence. Therefore the distance from city E to city C is 190 kilometers. But this question didn't require a whole lot of sentences. The only sentences I gave, I think I talked about the restrictions. Everything else was just sort of calculations and numbers, and that still counts as justification as long as it's clearly laid out. Okay, so that's question number 1. In the next video, we're going to be doing question number 2 on the 2007 Hypatia, so I will see you guys for that one next time.